Hello everybody. Let's continue the guide with the military quarter. The first boss is Instructor Razuvious. He has no particular ability except for the fact that he hits rather hard, although your pet should easily be able to survive it. He spawns with 4 adds, just AoE them at the start, and then you can DPS the boss. He is also tauntable. So if your pet is going to die, maybe because you're trying to do this with really low G, or you just forgot to heal it, or any other reason, you can always taunt him and then run away from him. Even if he hits you once or twice, he probably won't do more than 200k if he really is lucky with crits. On your way to Gothik's room, if you aggro any unholy staffs, kill them because they can sheep you and it's extremely annoying. So, Gothik the Harvester. His room is divided between a living on the left and a dead side on the right. You can start in both, but it's less boring to start on the dead one because the central gate will open faster. After a minute and a half, the central door will open. You will face wave after wave of adds who have nearly no health, deal nearly no damage, and usually miss you with their spells. So you can spam your AoEs, or you can roll your face on the keyboard, that should also work. Finally, after 4 minutes and a half, Gothik will teleport and become attackable. If he survives long enough, he will teleport on the other side of the gate. Just make sure you're in his line of sight when he teleports, or he will spawn more adds. Now let's make our way to the next boss, the 4 horsemen. Dumbledore and Sir Zeliek are casters and will do more damage if there is nobody in range. So put your pet near Sir Zeliek and stay yourself in range of Dumbledore, for example. Just avoid the void zones she puts under your feet and misdirect Vivender and Tenkotas on your pet. You can avoid Tenkotas meteors by running very fast as soon as he starts casting it, but it won't really be necessary. There's also an achievement that requires you to kill them all in 15 seconds of each other. I'd suggest putting Vivender and Tain at low health, then putting your pet on Zeliek and DPSing Blomo down. And then once Sir Zeliek is low on health, finishing off Blomo and finishing off the 3 others. And here's the construct quarter, also called the Abomination Wing, where you will find the first bosses that might actually be difficult depending on your gear level. The first thing to know about Patchwerk is that when you pull him, you will auto pull all the room with him, so make sure to feign death a few seconds after misdirecting him on your pet. His only ability is milling quite hard on your pet. So either you have enough gear for your pet to survive easily, or you can also go in melee range and take a few hits yourself, because his strikes will hit you instead of your pet if you're in melee range, and that should allow you to heal your pet up. However, if you're really trying to do this with as least gear as possible, you might need to raise your pet. Also, at 5%, he will go into a frenzy and deal even more damage, so it's the right moment to use a quintuple last stand. This is actually footage from Hasfu's Realmbreaker. to show you how to raise your pet. So you simply have to use deterrence, but it lasts 5 seconds. Then use revive pet, which should take between 3.5 and 4 seconds, depending on your haste. And then you have time to feign death before deterrence fades. However, make sure that your pet has some aggro or the boss will despawn in. But let's go back to Naxxramas. The next boss is Grobbulus. When you pull him, all the trash in his room will come to just AoE them down. Also, avoid the poison cloud he spawns under his feet or under your feet when your debuff clears. And if you stand in front of him when he does his cone AoE attack, it will spawn a little ad, but he's not very dangerous. To get to the next boss, you'll have to walk on a narrow ledge. Just make sure not to fall. Before engaging Gluth or Gluth, or I'll just call him Fluffy, you will want to dismiss your pet. Then, make sure to set the boss at the far end of the room. Your pet will take nearly no damage, and also we have a healing debuff on him, so don't worry too much about healing him. Your role will be to kite the zombies, because if any of them reaches Fluffy, he will heal for 5% of his health, so simply run around in circles behind him without misdirecting them to your pet. You can drop an ice trap to make it easier. 1 minute into the fight, he will cast Decimate. All the zombies will start running at him, and if they reach him, he will heal to full quickly. So simply AoE them down before that happens. If the boss still isn't dead, just resume kiting the zombies until he finally dies. Finally, there's Thaddius. In phase 1, you will have to fight Stalag and Fergen. Simply tank them on one of the two platforms and then DPS them down. They have to die at the same time, and they sometimes switch aggro, so they might end up milling you at some point, but they don't hit really hard. To get down of the platform, dismiss your pet and then disengage down. After that, once Thaddius activates, you will simply have to kill him before he berserks. Although his berserk is pretty weak, it's only 500% more damage and no speed increase, so he can also be killed during the berserk. Just send a lot of healing on your pet if your DPS is low. And finally, there's the Frostwyrm lair. You'll get one of the best boss introductions of World of Warcraft, and then you get to fight Saphirron. During the ground phase, you need to avoid the blizzards, and also you need to avoid standing behind him, or he will simply knock you on the other end of the room. And then there is the air phase. You will be ice blocked, and then you will be de-ice blocked, and then you can resume DPSing the boss. Just check where your pet is when he comes down to avoid taking a tail smash as soon as he comes down. Once Saphirron dies, you will be able to face off against Kel'thuzad himself. During phase 1, you only need to stay in the middle of the room as ads come at you. Kill the abominations first because they stack a debuff on your pet, then the banshees, and finally the skeletons, although they do nearly no damage, miss you most of the time, and even if they touch you, the damage is quickly healed by spirit bonds, so you can even ignore them. However, there is an achievement that requires you to kill 12 abominations during this phase. So simply pull the abominations that you will find in the alcove, or you can just pull everything in AoE at the start. That will guarantee you the achievement. When the boss activates, you want to bring him in one of the alcoves with a silencing shot if needed. Now, the two dangers in this phase will be the Frost Blast and the Mind Control. Now, the Frost Blast will kill you unless A. You have a Beastmaster with a Spirit Beast that casts Spirit Mend while you are ice blocked, or B. You are in another spec but have aspect of the Iron Hawk. However, if you use aspect of the Iron Hawk, you will have to be very careful not to take any damage from the ads and not to take any damage from the void zones. So what happens is that once you're ice blocked, his next ice block will have a 30 seconds cooldown. However, it doesn't mean that he will cast it in 30 seconds. However, if he mind controls you, you will return to full health immediately, which can be rather useful. However, you will spend 20 seconds attacking your pet, so sometimes you actually hear him while you're mind controlled, which I always find rather hilarious. But you can also do quite a lot of damage to him, which is why you must not put Spirit Mend on autocast, or your pet will probably cast it on you, and then when the mind control fades, you'll get an ice block and you'll die. He will summon ads at 45% health, just misdirect them on your pet, and they'll only make mind controls even more dangerous, because your pet will have an increased probability of dying. Now, if his ice block is off cooldown and you're not at max health, or your Spirit Man is on cooldown, then you're in danger. The only way to avoid that danger is to hide out of the line of sight of the boss. Don't worry, you'll still be able to heal your pet. Simply put him on passive, and the boss will keep casting his Frostbolt without moving, so you will be able to use a man pet, then send him back on the boss. And there, you've just solved Naxxramas. I hope this guide has been helpful. If you have any questions, just put them in the comments. Thank you for watching, and see you for Ulduar.